rat mess with a 12 mil wrench.
I think that was a lot. Damn, dude, that pop on limiter sounds good. It's fast, right? Yes!
I'm excited because we are finally diving back into the Datsun project. If you don't remember where we left off at the drag strip, we were running into injector fail-safes because I was maxing them out completely. Part of the game was because my boost control was basically a vacuum tee. When it started getting cold out, the car made more power, then the injectors get maxed out. I'd hit a wall, so I kind of got limited as to pushing the car to the next phase by what I had available for boost control and in the ECU. So the next step was to get this thing on a proper ECU, and I'm fortunate enough to have Jason and Forrest out here from Link that are gonna help get this thing ready for the next level.
Yeah, we saw this on the channel and thought it would be a really cool project for us to get involved with. So we reached out to Adam to see if he had any interest. And here we are, so we got Forrest to help us do the installation. So here we are basically looking at the wiring and getting ready to do the installation.
I'm excited because this car has kind of been like my first foot in the door with tuning, and I've already learned a lot of stuff that I've been able to apply to the 4-rotor, apply to the R32. So getting able to be more familiar with modern ECU, especially with all the technology that Link has to offer, I will be able to be better suited to maybe one day be able to mess with a car like this with more confidence. I see you guys found my slips.
We did?
Yeah, sorry about that.
You got to, we're hoping to improve on those slips a little bit.
Yeah, also I kind of f***ed them because this is probably the worst mess of wiring out of any car that I own.
Hey.
Surprisingly, is not the worst I've ever seen.
It's not that bad. It's actually pretty simple. So after a little bit of just kind of figuring out what we're working with, I think it's not going to be too hard to actually get it integrated into the Link.
The cool thing too is this car, I had basically no data logging, no sensors that I was able to act on. So when it comes to drag racing, so being able to look back at runs and understand like what's actually happening with boost control, what the air fuel actually is, because like the old map in this car, like it was like 8-bit compared to a modern ECU. Like, and I'm not exaggerating. There are so few fuel cells that like I would tune and like I would have to like average out where I wanted it to be, and you know, it was good enough. But as when you're going 130 miles an hour in a box, it's nice to have a little bit more comfort of what's going on with the car.
Yeah, we're going to be able to have over 200 channels, being able to sample those channels at 1,000 hertz. So I think your onboard data logging is going to be definitely much better. And again, with that data, you're able to utilize that data, look at the data, then make the decision how you want to make this thing go faster.
It's a lot going on. Yeah, so just to start off the project, the first thing we've got to do is see what do we have here. So we took the old harness and just simply labeled every wire. We went through the pin out so we know where we're coming from. And then we'll take that and we'll go into our pinout sheet that we have that comes in the box with the ECU. So we can go in and know that our map sensor goes here, our TPS goes here, coolant tip, all those sorts of things. So, and then from there, we can add any other sensors that we might want to.
Two things I'm most stoked about. Gonna get boost control, no more messing around crushing vacuum tees at the track. And not right off the rip, but eventually, when I get this thing where I feel like it's completely maxed out on pump gas, we're gonna go ethanol, and that'll probably be the time when the car needs a cage because it's definitely going 9s once it's on ethanol. Like no doubt about it. At 350 horsepower, it's running mid-10s. This thing's scary, but fun.
This FTRX7 and $15,000 cash is over in 9 days. Every $5 you spend at LZMFT or DriftHQ.com gives you enter for a chance to win. We've got awesome merchandise and tons of awesome other stuff. Go check it out now. Okay, bye.
While they're working on repinning the car, one thing that I've been very eager to do is vapor hone the intake manifold. So I'm gonna do that and at the same time upgrade to bigger injectors. This setup is fine for the power that we make just because they needed to be rescaled. However, once I go ethanol, I would need to go bigger anyway. So I'm just gonna do it all at once now. And it's kind of a good time to hop in there and make this thing look a little bit nicer.
Thing.
That wasn't bad. The tricky thing is I gotta remember all these vacuum lines better. Any guesses where I stole this throttle cable bracket from? Any guesses? I would love to clean all this up.
Sean?
Yeah. One other, wow, the wiring for the injector is not ideal. We'll change that. The fuel pressure regulator actually has two. It has a stock one and it has an aftermarket one, so I was looking forward to replacing that with something slightly less ghetto. This is also a huge no-no, using worm clamps like this on fuel line. It has a tendency to like crack and split it. You want to use the like solid stuff. Yeah, not ideal.
Yeah, so what we're starting with, we're just going to get our coils and injectors in place first, and then we'll just work our way down the list of all the sensors and everything.
Gotcha. So he's just going by and just pinning one at a time.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm comparing the pinouts and just calling out to him, you know, what he needs to pin next.
Yeah.
Just to make it flow a little easier than him trying to sit there and look at a piece of paper.
Guesswork.
Yeah. All he's got to do is crimp in place. Yeah.
So what we're doing in here is digging into this rat mess with a 12 mil wrench. We're turning a 12 mil bolt left, but it's hard to turn left because of clearance, and I'm too lazy to drop the down pipe.
Did you try turning right?
Do you know there's water in the intake manifold?
Maybe like a coolant channel or something?
Yeah, that's annoying. I wasn't prepared for that. I just started hearing hissing. Like, huh, that's weird.
It's weird that it's coming out just from you loosening the mounts, like pouring straight out the bottom of the manifold.
I just hope it's not going into the rotors. That'd be real inconvenient.
Oh,
It's a lot of water. I think it's all below the intake ports, hopefully. And it didn't all just go inside. Oh yeah, there's water channels. Look at that. When did you know? Learn something new every day.
interesting.
Oh, it's a good thing I did this, because look, the gasket was torn anyway.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's fuel that I'm leaking everywhere. Oh, love that for me. Morning, sunshine.
Morning.
I've got more rotary questions for you.
Oh, snap.
Yep. All right, you ready for this? There's an exhaust manifold,
The intake.
the intake plenum.
Yeah.
This is a exhaust gasket.
Intake gasket, yes.
With you. So you see how it has nothing here?
It's supposed to have an O-ring.
Yeah, so on the block, it's got a whole ton of RTV and an O-ring
Yeah.
that looks like crushed. Is that seal water?
That's coolant, yeah.
So what's the ideal way to redo this? Because these O-rings look kind of smushed.
The easiest thing to do is, well, there's two ways. You can get I think it's a 21 millimeter freeze plug.
Uh-huh.
And you can knock that freeze plug in there and be done with it.
Oh.
Or if you got 2 quarters in your pocket, you just put 2 quarters there and seal it with silicone.
Or I just put new O-rings in?
You can put new O-rings, but they kind of tend to do the same thing because if they're not OEM, they kind of like shrivel up like that.
Yeah. I'll see what I bought for gaskets and see.
So you don't need it anymore because that's a turbo coolant feed for a stock turbo.
Got it.
It goes intake. So what you're doing is you're running coolant through the rear 2 runners of the engine. So if you can eliminate it now while you're at it, I would eliminate it because if you put the O-rings, it's still going to be coolant in the intake.
We're going to be setting it up with a brand new set of D-Schwerks 1500cc ethanol compatible injectors. Same stuff we run in all the race cars. Tried and true, good injector control to make sure that everything runs nice and smooth, and most importantly, reliable. And for this scenario, we are running a square setup, so primaries and secondaries will both be 1500cc's. Should be enough for like up to 650 horsepower on ethanol, which is probably more than it will ever see. But before I go and vapor run everything, I'm going to verify fitment, make sure everything lines up, and then I will start cleaning up the intake manifold. Pretty much ready now to take this thing over to our vapor running cabinet. I'll just pull off these block off plates, clean these up so they look nicer. Make sure you take in what this stinky thing looks like before. I'm gonna go throw it in our vapor running technologies cabinet, hit it with some nice slurry, and get this thing looking brand new. This thing's like one of the biggest game changers of all the things that we've got for the shop. Boom. It'll look a lot better once I clean it up. I'm gonna go hose it off. If you guys have seen this vapor honing in videos and you're interested in getting a cabinet of your own, Vapor Honing Technologies did just release the VH700, specifically designed for hobbyists at an unbeatable price. Ton of cool features. Not as big as this thing, but you can still do intake manifolds, small aluminum parts all day. Get them looking like brand new. And I got a code for you. I'll put it down in the description. 5% off, which actually comes out to a decent chunk of change. And yeah, get your aluminum parts looking right. All right, these guys are pretty much wrapped up on the wiring of the ECU. And me over here, I've done half of the intake manifold. I'm going a little bit too OCD with this. Luckily, I have my handy drift kit where I've been picking and pulling hardware from, so I could put nice new zinc flange hardware, and then I'm gonna mount this, and then I can start dealing with this monstrosity, but hopefully it'll go quicker. Just being super OCD with all these little block off plates, painting them, make sure everything's sealed up nice. That way when it goes back on, it doesn't need to come back off. What we're leaving off for tonight, pretty much everything's wired up. Just gotta test inputs and outputs, mount a few more things. Intake manifold came out beautiful along with the new fuel lines and D-Shworks fuel pressure regulator with a fuel pressure sensor now. Only thing that kind of drives me nuts is having the throttle body not vapor honed and the intake manifold vapor honed. Reason for this is it's very difficult to get the slurry out of certain crevices. The proper way to do a throttle body would be to completely disassemble it, like zinc coat all the springs, do every single thing. If I were to just try to tape things up, throw it in there and vapor hone it, there's a good chance that I would mess something up or contaminate some of the actual like rotating parts. So I just hit it with like a little wire wheel to shine it up a little bit. It doesn't look terrible, but it would look a lot nicer if it was the same color as this. I'm sure I could get like a new throttle body or something to make it blend, but for now, it looks a lot better. And more importantly, I'm stoked to have this thing in standalone, get it tuned up, and learn along the way.
I blew up my S54 the other day.
Did run into when switching over to Link is that the factory CAS had some problems with the trigger signal. I'll let Jason explain.
Yeah, so these are pretty old school CAS sensor for us. These sensors here are what we use to pick up the RPM and the sync. Unfortunately, we weren't going to get very good pickup on it, so we had to move over to something that's going to be a little bit more robust and a little bit more reliable. So we actually got the full function kit. It's a Hall effector kit down there, and you see it uses a trigger wheel. And that's a 36-1 trigger. And with a real quick conversion to the Link ECU, we're able to use that trigger pattern and get this thing started.
Fun fact too, I bought their fuel rails and they happened to just send that to me. I was like, hey, if you ever need this. And sure enough, we're like fighting with old CASs trying to get them to work, and I had that. Do you call it a CAS, even though it's a rotary?
I guess, yeah. I mean, it's probably not the proper word, but that's what I call it. Yep. So it's got the, well, yeah, from a rotary standpoint, it wouldn't be really a CAS, but yeah. I'm not really sure what we call it.
Trigger. Chelsea, what's it called? Chelsea knows everything.
What's this called, man? For a rotary.
Dizzy?
Squirrel cage?
Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's kind of a crank.
It's like angle
eccentric angle.
Yeah, eccentric angle sensor.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Rotor, rotational.
It's a make it go. It's a make it go thing.
Yeah.
I did need to ditch my super hella flush fan clearance though and go to a slimmer one, because if you remember before, I was hella tight. Now we got a little more space. It's okay. We had it in stock. It fits you. Alright, so we got the Datsun on the dyno and we've been doing some pulls, and I want to remind you the goal is not to make more power. Before, it made 350 horsepower on 93 octane at about 14.5 pounds of boost. The goal is to get it back to the same exact level because we knew it was safe. Even though the fueling and the timing was a little bit aggressive, we wanted to see now that it's got a proper ECU, what fueling and timing it takes to make that same power number. I do want to add that I probably could have done a better job documenting the whole process, but it's difficult for me to film and also absorb and learn, so I've kind of been trying to just be present and absorb as much as I can. Tomorrow, I'm gonna be in the hot seat with the CRX and put everything into practice because I learned the best that way. But we're about to make a hit. Boost is at the pretty much same level it was before. Let's see what it makes. share some of the other data with you guys. But that is the most power this thing has ever made. On pump gas, we almost cracked 400 horsepower. We'll walk you through what's different about it now. All right, so ignore that last pull for a second because that is ridiculous. I'm gonna show you apples to apples before and after old ECU versus new ECU. If you look here, the yellow line is the old ECU when we had about 15 pounds. The red line is the new ECU at 15 pounds. We went from 350 wheel to 367. Not a whole lot of gains down low, but up top, there's significant gains. I did not expect to pick anything up, especially at the same boost level. Mind you as well, our timing is much more conservative than before. Fueling is richer than before. So why is it making more power?
In my opinion, the reason why it's making more power is that with the newer computers, we have better processors. So tuning is really kind of pushing the boundaries, kind of imagine that line in the sand. So for us, really having really good control, that processor allows us to basically have really tight tolerances for ignition timing and fuel correction. So we're very comfortable actually pushing this up. So a lot of the older ECUs that slower processors, even though you put a value into your cell of 10 to 15 or 20 degrees of ignition timing, it's hard to validate this. With the newer processors, that kind of timing, we know for sure it's delivering that timing consistently. So from a tuning standpoint, we're more comfortable introducing that timing and knowing we're going to actually hit that mark. So even though that old computer might have said 16 degrees of ignition timing, we're not really sure that's how much timing it's having. But in this case, with this Link ECU, we know that the 10 degrees of ignition timing that we're actually running is 10 degrees.
So mind you, we're like, for any rotary people out there, or any tuner people at all, 10 degrees of timing and like 11.0, like tickling the tens is super conservative.
Absolutely. So on that particular pull, we were about 15 pounds of boost. We're around 10 degrees of ignition timing, and our air fuel is 11.0. So we're, from a standpoint of being aggressive, this is not an aggressive tune at all. We're actually fairly conservative, but we've hit the target that we need from our horsepower, so there's no reason for us to push any further than that.
But when it cooled down, it accidentally made a little bit more boost. Instead of 15 pounds, that's the last pull that you saw where it made 400. Now I overlaid a green line, and that green line is when I was messing around with boost tees, and I accidentally made 17 pounds with the old setup. And you can see it follows like the same trail pretty much everywhere, but up top, because we have better control of fueling, I think that is probably most likely why we have that approximately like a 30 wheel gain. Now before on the old ECU, I understand the whole processing thing, but the resolution of the actual table, the fueling, I was like trying to, I don't want to say guess, but when I was changing numbers, I was like trying to change what it was in between the numbers. Sometimes it would work out, other times it wouldn't. But I also should mention too, the injectors that I had before, they were basically fire hoses, so I had no control of them up top because they were pretty much stuck all the way open. And then I was just kind of at the mercy of whatever the car wanted to do.
So in that case too, when we're looking at cooling the car down, we're looking at air density. Air density means that there's more oxygen in there. More oxygen is going to give us a bigger burn and give us more power as well.
Next step, we'll probably do a little bit of drivability stuff where we can use the dyno brake to get into different load cells that we'd see in the street. However, we are going to mess with launch control in this. Before, I would just basically rev dump it, so I was leaving without any boost and just basically using the RPM to get me going. That's what was making it wheelie, but we weren't leaving with a lot of power because it wasn't building boost. So it's kind of late. We'll mess with that tomorrow because it's probably going to be loud, but I'm excited to see what we do with that.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to it. Pops and bangs.
All right, you trying to flex your no pedal start? Let's see it on camera. No, not that kind of flex. All right.
Yeah, here we go.
Get at it, Forrest.
Let's make sure that.
All right, watch the foot.
I'm
watch
watching.
the foot.
You know, just get your feet out of here.
That's a flex.
That's a flex.
You're a little cocky.
It's not 100% yet. It can be better.
Rotaries are annoying to get to start up without using a little bit of gas, so he's been working on trying to get that flex right. It's good, it's good.
It'll be better.
Usually we gotta be like kicking the floor and stuff, so. All right, the important thing though, before we wrap this video up, it's absolutely soaked outside. We were hoping to go to the drag strip, but that didn't happen. We talked about two-step. We talked about being able to leave with some boost instead of just leaving with a bunch of RPM and no boost. I wanna hear it.
I got some boost in there.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, you want me here?
Yeah.
Let's try that.
So I'll open the door for this one. So this is at like a low RPM, so what we would do is we go to the track, see if it needs some more RPM, we could raise it, we can make more boost by pulling more ignition timing, and now we have the flexibility instead of just trying to like basically free ball it, leave it a different RPM every time. Last time, someone left with too much RPM, they wound up in the back seat. That was a good time. But I think, I know you guys gotta run to the airport, so we'll wrap it up here. I'll send you some videos of this thing at the track.
Right on, bud.
It's been fun, thank you. I appreciate it, and I look forward to driving this thing now that it makes 400 horsepower. Ah, man, I wish it wasn't so wet out. I kind of still want to take it for a spin anyway. Forrest, you want to take it for a spin?
You got it.
No, you're coming with me.
All right, you go. You guys go. Do your thing.
Have to put your seatbelt on.
Yeah, I don't want to die in a Datsun.
We won't die, but it gets sketchy.
Oh, I bet.
So we'll just make sure drivability stuff's good, and then we'll do a couple hits just for fun. Yeah. Feels pretty smooth. It's actually really good.
Hey, all right. It's pretty responsive.
Oh yeah, it's great. She rubs a little bit, don't mind that. I mean, I'm kind of ready to just do a hit.
Go for it.
I imagine we're probably going to spin a little bit because of all this water. But
Yeah, probably a little bit. Be all right.
should I fuck with it? Nah, we won't do two-step right now. I'll just roll into it. Damn, that pop on limiter sounds good. It's fast, right?
Yes.
Dude, I can't believe it hooked that well in the wet.
That's impressive.
It's good, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know if I went a red line.
I mean, we can look back, but I don't think you made it all the way there.
Sticky throttle caught me a little bit.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that.
All right, well,
This thing is good,
I'm
man.
gonna take it up to red line. Make sure my shift light's working. Are we at 3 grand? Does that sound about right?
We are at $3 grand right now.
So I think maybe because I bounced off the limiter, it seemed like it hit like a fuel cut in the next gear. Is that possible?
I think you know what it is.
What?
It's our clutch switch because it's at the top. So we're gonna have to do something to
That makes sense.
make it not go into our launch control when you press the clutch, because so you're above the RPM threshold.
Yeah, because we don't have a wheel speed
Yeah.
thing.
I can figure something out. We got a little flexibility there. We can figure something out.
Let's just turn it off for now.
Yeah.
The shift on the light. This thing's sick.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get this thing back to the track, dude.
And just imagine if we get this thing set up for full throttle shift.
I know. I don't know if the gearbox would like it though.
Yeah, maybe not with this one. But yeah.
So I guess the launch control, it should not interfere if you just make, can I see
So
the
we
conditions?
can do some throttle conditions. I didn't.
Yeah.
Let me look at what Jason had it set to.
So do the TDS activation like
80%.
90.
Yeah. Change that and.
Alright, so it's good?
Hold on. This is the.
You ready?
Yep. Ready to go.
Yeah, I can feel the cut from the, what do you call it? The clutch pedal.
Yeah.
Thinking it's going back in. So I think we just add like a GPS sensor, and then it knows once it's past a certain speed.
Yeah. If we can get a speed input to the ECU, that's all we really need. Yeah.
Okay. So I can just flat shift with the settings that it has right now.
You could. Yeah. Because it goes
Yeah.
in. It goes into launch control. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's another way we can do it. It's just a little more effort to set up.
I'm gonna try that just for fun and see how it like acts. Because then at least I'm expecting it, you know?
Yeah.
We're going a little fast there in
A
third.
little bit.
So that works, and it just makes
Yeah.
it pop on the shift.
Yeah.
I just need to be real conscious to not, what do you call it? Rest my foot on the clutch. Cause
Basically, yeah, because if you rest it at all, so your other option would be to, I guess,
I'm not falling out of boost as much on the shift anymore, and it seems like it shifts nice.
yeah, it felt like we were staying in power. Let's look at it on the,
Because instead of flaming it, then it actually just works. I feel like how it should.
yeah, because it goes right back to 8 pounds of boost after the shift.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not too aggressive where I feel like it's going to blow up the trans, but
Right.
because it still has a little bit of delay with how high the clutch switch is.
Yeah.
Did I scare you a little bit when I locked up the brakes?
I felt like you had it, but you know, I tensed up a little bit. I'm not in the driver's seat, so it's different, right?
Oh, I feel
it always feels faster on this side.
And there's not like
Yeah.
there's any runoff.
Yeah.
All right, let's try the. I'll try to be as quick as I can. Yeah, that's gonna work great.
I think that actually works.
That felt sick.
Yeah, it did. It kept pulling. It killed power just enough.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah, the 1-2 is usually what I struggle with, and it's just like taking it like a
went
champ.
right in. Yeah. So it's pulling 20 degrees out
That's okay.
right there. So that's it's pulling torque. So it's gonna make it
Go in the gear
easier for
easier.
you to shift.
Not just me taking too long. But yeah, because I just have the tendency to rest my foot. So once I get that switch in the right spot, I think we'll be
Yeah.
sweet. I think we're pretty good. Do you look good and everything?
Yeah.
Damn, I'm stoked. I got flash shifting. I didn't even ask for it.
Sometimes it just works that way.
I appreciate it, man. Safe travels.
Yeah.
Let's get back in the AC.
When you say
There's a lot.